In the scriptural justice system, the highest authority, the Most High Yah, is the judge and the jury. The seed of Israel are his children. These are their stories. Season 1, Episode 2. The Covenant and the Curse, Sources and Receipts. Comprehensive Source List, Episode 2. Primary Biblical Foundation. 1. Deuteronomy 28, King James Version. Complete chapter. Verses 1 to 14, the blessings for obedience. Verses 15-68, the curses for disobedience. This is the contract. The entire foundation of the series. Breakdown of key curse verses 2. Deuteronomy 28:8-15, KJV. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Establishes. Conditional covenant. Disobedience triggers curses. 3. Deuteronomy 28, verse 25, KJV. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Key curse. Scattered in all directions, defeated by enemies. 4. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Key curse. Children taken away, slavery's family separation. 5. Deuteronomy 28:33, KJV. The fruit of thy land, and all thy labours, shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed alway. Economic exploitation. Others profit from their labour. 6. Deuteronomy 28. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword, among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee. Key curse. Mocked, stereotyped, made a byword, N-word racial slurs. 7. Deuteronomy 28:41, KJV. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Key children sold, families destroyed. 8. Deuteronomy 28:43-44. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Key curse. Economic oppression, permanent underclass status. 9. Deuteronomy 28:48, KJV. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Enslaved by enemies, literal yokes, chains. 10. Deuteronomy 28:64, KJV. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Key curse. Global scattering. Forced into foreign religions. 11. Deuteronomy 20:65-67. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it were even. And at even thou shalt say, Would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Key curse. Mental anguish, PTSD, constant fear, no peace. 12. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, KJV. The most specific curse. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Breakdown. Egypt again equals back into bondage. Egypt equals house of bondage, Exodus 22. With ships, Atlantic slave trade, specific mode of transport. Sold unto your enemies equals slave markets, auction blocks. Bondmen and bondwomen equals male and female slaves. No man shall buy you. So many slaves, market oversupplied, worthless. Covenant context. Mount Sinai 13, Exodus 19:5-6. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. Establishes the covenant offer at Sinai 14, Exodus 24:7-8 kg. And he took the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people, and they said, All that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood, and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold the blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Establishes, Israel agreed to the covenant, binding contract. 15. Leviticus 26 KJV, parallel curse chapter. Similar curses to Deuteronomy 28, verses 14-39, curses for disobedience, verse 33, and I will scatter you among the heathen, confirms scattering prophecy repeated multiple times. Historical fulfillment, 70 Deed and Diaspora, 16. Josephus, Flavius, The Wars of the Jews, Book 6, chapters 8-9, circa 75 CE, eyewitness account of Rome's destruction of Jerusalem, 70 AD, describes temple destruction, mass slaughter, enslavement. Quote, Book 6, chapter 9. Now the number of those that were carried captive during this whole war was collected to be 97,000, as was the number of those that perished during the whole siege, 1,100,000. Key, 97,000 enslaved, scattered across Roman Empire. Available complete works of Josephus, Whiston translation. 17. Roman historical records. Tacitus, The Histories, Book 5, circa 100-110 CE. Roman historian describes Jewish revolt and Roman victory, documents destruction and diaspora. Cassius Dio, Roman History, Book 66, circa 220 CE. Describes siege of Jerusalem, documents Jewish scattering, 18. 18 Arch of Titus, Rome, Italy, built 82 CE. Triumphal arch commemorating Roman victory over Judea. Relief sculpture shows Roman soldiers carrying menorah and temple treasures, physical evidence of 70 AD destruction, still standing today, visible proof. Photos available, multiple sources, Wikipedia Commons. Jewish diaspora before transatlantic trade, 19, Bar Kokhba revolt, 132-136 CE. Source Cassius Dio, Roman History, Book 69. Second major Jewish revolt against Rome. Result, 580,000 Jews killed. Massive enslavement and scattering. Judea renamed Syria Palestina by Rome to erase Jewish connection. Survivors scattered throughout Roman Empire, North Africa, Middle East. 20. Edict of Expulsion from Spain, 1492. Alhambra Decree issued by Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella. Expelled all Jews from Spain. Estimated 40,000 to 100,000 Spanish Jews, Sephardim, fled. Many went to North Africa, Middle East, Ottoman Empire. Some ended up in West Africa, documented by multiple sources. Source A History of the Jews by Paul Johnson, Harper Perennial, 1987. 21. Edict of Expulsion from Portugal, 1496. King Manuel I forced conversion or expulsion. Many Portuguese Jews fled to North Africa. Some migrated down West African coast. Source, The Sephardim, A Cultural Journey from Spain to the Pacific Coast by Rabbi Mark D. Angel, 2020. West African Hebrew Presence, 22. Eldad Hadani, Narrative, 9th century CE, Ethiopian East African traveller claiming Israelite heritage, describes Jewish communities in Africa, controversial source but historical. English translation in Jewish Travellers in the Middle Ages, edited by Elkan Adler, 1930. 23. Benjamin of Tudela, The Travels of Benjamin, circa 1165 to 1173, Spanish Jewish traveller, documents Jewish communities throughout Middle East, North Africa, mentions communities in Egypt, Ethiopia, Arabia. Available multiple translations, Dover Publications, reprint 24. Leo Africanus, Description of Africa, 1526, published 1550, Moorish diplomat and traveller, documents Jewish communities in West Africa, Timbuktu region. Describes Jewish scholars, traders. English translation, The History and Description of Africa, Hakluyt Society, 1896. 25. Professor Tudor Parfit, Journey to the Vanished City, The Search for a Lost Tribe of Israel, St. Martin's Press, 2000. Modern scholar tracing Lemba people, Southern Africa. DNA evidence of Middle Eastern Jewish ancestry. Documents African Jewish connections. 26. Bruder, Edith, The Black Jews of Africa, History, Religion, Identity, Oxford University Press, 2008. Scholarly work documenting multiple African Jewish communities, Beta Israel, Ethiopia, Lemba, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Igbo, Nigeria, others. Historical evidence and DNA studies. DNA evidence, Hebrew ancestry in Africa, 27. Thomas M.G. et al. Y Chromosomes Traveling South, the Cohen Modal Haplotype and the Origins of the Lemba in American Journal of Human Genetics, Vol. 66, No. 2, 2000, p. 674-686, DNA Study of Lemba People, Southern Africa. Found Cohen Modal Haplotype, genetic marker of Jewish priestly line. Proof, Jewish ancestry in African populations. 28. Hammer, M.F. et al. Jewish and Middle Eastern non-Jewish populations share a common pool of Y chromosome biallelic haplotypes in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, Vol. 97, No. 12, 2000, pp. 6769-6774. Genetic Study Connecting Jewish Populations Globally shows shared ancestry. 29. Ostra, Harry, Legacy, A Genetic History of the Jewish People, Oxford University Press, 2012. Comprehensive Genetic Study documents Jewish diaspora through DNA, includes African Jewish communities. Hack the curses matched to historical evidence. Curse, scattered among all nations, Dute 2864. 30. Trans-Saharan slave trade documentation. Paul Lovejoy, Transformations in Slavery, A History of Slavery in Africa, Cambridge 3rd edition, 2012. Documents millions of Africans taken north across Sahara, 7th to 19th centuries. Conservative estimate, 9 to 14 million over 1,200 years. Destinations, North Africa, Middle East, Ottoman Empire. 31. Indian Ocean slave trade documentation. Campbell, Gwynne. The Structure of Slavery in Indian Ocean, Africa and Asia, Routledge 2004. Documents millions taken via Red Sea, Persian Gulf routes. Estimate, 17 to 30 million over 1,300 years, larger than Atlantic trade. 32. Transatlantic slave trade documentation. Eltis, David and Richardson, David. Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, Yale University Press, 2010. Based on Transatlantic Slave Trade Database, slavevoyages.org. Documents 12.5 million Africans shipped 1500s to 1860s. 10.7 million survived Middle Passage. Fully searchable database with 36,000 documented voyages. Curse, children taken, Dote 2832-41. 33. Slave auction records. Separation of families. Ball, Edward. Slaves in the Family. Farrar, Strauss and Giroux, 1998. Documents family separations in South Carolina plantation records. Personal family history research. 34. WPA Slaratives, 1936 to 1938. Federal Writers Project interviewed 2,300+ former slaves. Available free. Library of Congress. Born in Slavery Collection, load.gov/collection slave narratives. Countless testimonies of children being sold away from parents. Example quotes. Day sold my sister Kate. I saw it Deezer here eyes. Sold her in 1860, and I ain't seed or heard of her since. Delia Garlic, Alabama. I seen children sold off and the mama not sold, and sometimes the mama sold and a little baby kept on the place and give to another woman to raise. Mary Reynolds, Louisiana. Curse Economic Exploitation, Due 2833. 35. Baptist Edward E. The Half Has Never Been Told, Slavery and the Making of American Capitalism. Basic Books, 2014. Documents economic value extracted from enslaved labor. By 1860, enslaved people represented largest finite asset in more than railroads, factories combined. Estimated $3 billion in 1860 dollars, roughly $10 trillion today. 36. Beckett, Sven. Empire of Cotton, A Global History, Knopf 2014. Documents how enslaved labor built global cotton industry, connects American slavery to British Industrial Revolution. Economic exploitation on global scale. Curse Yoke of Iron, Deutsch 2848. 37. Physical evidence. Slave chains, shackles, iron collars. Smithsonian National Museum of African American History. Slavery collection. Photographs of actual chains, yokes, restraints. Available online. nmaac.si.edu. 38. Archaeological evidence. Blakey, Michael L. The New York African Burial Ground, Unearthing the African Presence in Colonial New York, Howard University Press, 2009. Archaeological excavation, 1991 to 1992, found 419 burials. Physical evidence of shackle wounds, malnutrition, brutal labor. Iron restraints found in graves. Curse, byword mockery, Duke 28 birth 37. 39. Racial slurs and dehumanization. Kennedy Randall, Nigger, The Strange Career of a Troublesome Word. Pantheon, 2002. Historical analysis of N-word usage documents systematic dehumanization through language. 40. Minstrel shows and stereotyping, lot and theft, blackface minstrelsy and the American working class, Oxford, 1993. Documents how blackface minstrelsy created stereotypes. Byword equals Sambo Mammy made a mockery. Mental anguish, fear, Duke 28, verse 65 to 67. 41. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, Degrade Joy. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, America's legacy of enduring injury and healing, Joy Degree Publications, 2005. Documents intergenerational trauma from slavery. Trembling heart, failing of eyes, sorrow of mind equals PTSD symptoms. 42. Lynching and racial terror. Equal Justice Initiative, Lynching in America, Confronting the Legacy of Racial Terror, 3rd edition, 2017. Documents 4,400 plus racial terror lynchings, 1877 to 1950. Fear Day and Night, equals Literal Terror Campaign. Available free, eji.org. 43. Slave Patrol Systems, Haddon, Sally E. Slave Patrols, Law and Violence in Virginia and the Carolinas, Harvard University Press, 2001. Documents Organized Terror Systems, Armed Patrols to Capture Runaways, Terrorize Enslaved Populations, No Assurance of Thy Life, equals Constant Threat. Curse, Ships, Duke 28, 68, 44. Transatlantic Slave Trade Database, slavevoyages.org, 36,000 documented slave voyages, 12.5 million Africans embarked, names of ships, captains, ports of departure, arrival, numbers. Undeniable proof, they came in ships. 45. Slave Ship Manifests, primary documents, available at multiple archives, National Archives UK, Colonial Office Records, Library of Congress, various collections, New York Public Library, Schomburg Center. Examples, Manifest of Ship Henrietta Marie, 1699 to 1700, wreck found off Florida coast, artifacts recovered. Manifest of Ship Clotilda, 1860, last known slave ship to U.S., wreck discovered 1946. Rediker, Marcus, The Slave Ship, A Human History, Viking 2007. Comprehensive History of Slave Ships, Documents, Middle Passage Horrors, based on primary sources, ship logs, surgeon diaries, insurance records. Curse, Sold to Enemies, Duke 28, 68. 47. Slave Auction Advertisements, primary sources, Greenwald Randall, compiler, historical newspaper advertisements, various. Actual newspaper ads selling enslaved people. Examples available at Library of Congress, University Archives. Sample, Charleston Courier, 1835. To be sold, a likely Negro wench, about 22 years old, and her child about 6 months old. Sold for no fault, applied to. 48. Fredrickson, Jem, The Black Image in the White Mind. The Debate on Afro-American Character and Destiny, 1817 to 1914, Wesleyan University Press, 1971. Documents how enslaved people were viewed, treated as enemies or inferiors. Systematic dehumanization. Theological rabbinical sources on covenant. 49. Talmud, Tractate Shabbat 88a, discusses covenant at Sinai. Confirms binding nature of covenant on all future generations. 50. Maimonides, Mishnah Torah, Laws of Repentance, Chapter 5, medieval Jewish scholar, 12th century, discusses covenant, free will, consequences of disobedience. 51. Rashi, commentary on Deuteronomy 28, 11th century, most influential Jewish biblical commentator, interprets curses as literal future events. Christian theological interpretations. 52. Matthew Henry, commentary on the whole Bible, 1706 to 1721, Protestant commentary. Deuteronomy 28 section interprets curses as historical, available free online, multiple sites. 53. John Gill, Exposition of the Bible, 1746 to 1763, Baptist theologian, detailed verse-by-verse analysis of Deuteronomy 28, connects to Jewish diaspora history. Counter-arguments addressed. 54. Replacement theology, supersessionism, Solon, R. Kendall, The God of Israel and Christian Theology, Fortress Press, 1996, critiques replacement theology, idea that church replaced Israel. Counter, covenant with Israel was unconditional, Genesis 17:7, everlasting covenant. Curses don't nullify covenant, they discipline the covenant people. 55. All Christians are spiritual Israel. Vlach, Michael J. Has the church replaced Israel? B&H Academic 2010. Argues against replacement theology, distinguishes physical Israel, bloodline from spiritual adoption, Gentile believers. Romans 11 verse 25 to 29. God has not cast away his people. The gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. 56. These curses were only for ancient Israel. Response. Deuteronomy 28:46. They shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Forever equals applies to descendants. If blessings are generational, so are curses until repentance. Historical timeline. Covenant to diaspora. 57. Timeline of key events. 1446 BCE. Traditional date. Exodus from Egypt. 1406 BC. Entry into Promised Land. 1000 to 930 BCE. United Kingdom. Saul, David, Solomon. 930 BC. Kingdom splits. Israel, Judah. 722 BCE. Northern Kingdom Israel conquered by Assyria. 10 tribes scattered. 586 BC. Southern Kingdom Judah conquered by Babylon. Jerusalem destroyed. Temple burned. Exile begins. 516 BCE. Return from Babylon. Second Temple built. 70 CE. Rome destroys Second Temple. Mass slaughter and enslavement. 135 CE. Bar Kokhba revolt crushed. Final scattering. 1492. Spanish expulsion. Jews flee to Africa. Others 1500s to 1800s. Transatlantic slave trade. West Africans, including Hebrews, shipped to Americas. Sources for timeline. Finkelstein, Israel, and Silberman. Neil Asher. The Bible Unearthed. Archaeology's New Vision of Ancient Israel. Free Press, 2001. Schiffman, Lawrence H. From Text to Tradition. A History of Second Temple and Rabbinic Judaism. Comparative Curse Analysis. 58. Chart matching curses to history. Deuteronomy 28. Curse, historical fulfillment. Verse 64. Scattered among all nations. Trans-Saharan, Indian Ocean, transatlantic slave trades equals global scattering, verse 68. Ships, 36,000 documented slave voyages. Verse 60, sold to enemies, slave auctions throughout Americas. Verse 32-41, children taken, WPA narratives document family separations. Verse 48, yoke of iron, archaeological evidence of shackles, chains. Verse 37, byword, N-word, racial slurs, minstrel shows. Verse 65-67, mental anguish, PTSD, lynching terror, slave patrols. Verse 33, economic exploitation, $10 trillion value extracted, Baptist 2014. Episode 2, key evidence summary, provable facts. 1. Deuteronomy 28 establishes a conditional covenant. Obedience equals blessings, disobedience equals curses. 2. The curses are specific, not vague, naming exact conditions, ships, slavery, scattering, etc. 3. Israel was scattered after 70 AD and 135 AD. Josephus, Roman Records, Arch of Titus. 4. Jews expelled from Spain, Portugal, 1492-1496. Many fled to West Africa. 5. DNA evidence confirms Hebrew presence in African populations. Lemba, Beta Israel, others. 6. Transatlantic slave trade documented. 36,000 voyages, 12.5 million Africans shipped. 7. Every specific curse in Deuteronomy 28:50-68 matches historical experience of enslaved Africans and their descendants. 8. No other people group in history matches all the curses as precisely hashed. The case. If the curses fit perfectly, and these curses were meant to identify the covenant people, then so-called African Americans and the global African diaspora are the children of Israel. The contract covenant was specific. The curses were specific. The evidence is specific. Welcome to Yah and Order.